Rolling audio, take one. The spectacular now. Hello, my name is Ray Salazar, and this is Morning Reel, a 120 billion minute or so podcast of films that I review. You can catch them on your typical audio podcast sites such as Google Play, iHeart, Prime, YouTube, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, you name it, it's there. Today, I will be talking about a film that I actually like a lot. And I hadn't seen it since I saw it in the theater when it came out in 2013. This is an American coming of age drama, maybe some romance, I guess, called The Spectacular Now, directed by James Ponsoldt, with a screenplay nicely written by Scott Neustadter and Michael H. Weber. This film was based on a 2008 novel of the same name, written by Tim Tharp. I've never read it. This is Miles Teller in his first film lead role. How about that, man? Miles Teller, he's a good actor, man. I saw him in Maverick. I liked him in Maverick. And just keep on doing it, bro. Keep on doing it. And Shailene Woodley, who is just a doll in this film. I love her in this film. And she's good in other films. Check her out, man. She's definitely not to be slept on. This film's about high school, about love, about getting ahead in life, about getting out of high school and going to college. That's what the film's about. Typical high schoolers, going through their shit, and then, are they going to college? Now, this isn't your typical coming of age, teenage, end of summer romance. It's a little bit more complicated. Well, it's not that complicated, but there is a lot more than that should have been put on, because I like the backstory of these characters, and the backstory on Shailene Woodley's character, whom she plays, Amy Finnecky. She has mom issues. I guess she takes care of her mom a lot. She works for her mom. I mean, she works and goes to high school. She doesn't really have that much of an active social life. And here comes Miles Teller as Sutter Keeley. He's your party high schooler. I mean, if there's a party, he's there. And if he's there, most likely he's fucked up. And when I mean fucked up, I mean like drunk and drives drunk. And those are one of the things that the film tackles, really, like high schoolers and underage drinking, traveling, shit like that. Now, what I liked about this film is obviously its, its plot. It's practically the end of the senior year in high school. Sutter, he has to write this letter to a college, basically like a reflection type of letter, basically saying basically asking him, what are some hardships or a hardship that you've had that you had to kind of deal with and overcome. He doesn't really put too much into that. Obviously, he has issues with his father, issues with his mother. I mean, basically issues with himself, Obviously, he started drinking at an early age and hasn't stopped since. And a lot of the absence of his father has just ignited him to just keep on drinking. And obviously, it affects him, like his work life, his school life, his relationship life, because here comes Amy. They get together and she starts drinking. He kind of gets her hooked on it. Not that she gets super fucked up or anything like that, but you can tell that this guy's an influence, and it's hard to say that he's a good influence, but an influence he is. He actually got to get Amy to stand up to her mom. Amy has goals, she has ambitions, and she wants to pursue them. Sutter encourages her to stand up to her mom in a somewhat brutal way. And it's kind of funny, but it works. Sutter does the same thing, tracks his father down. Amy goes with him, and he pretty much sees his father as who he is and as who he was, still is. That's what I like about this film, really. It's the complexity of your characters, especially young characters, and how they get influenced to do things. Obviously, Sutter is influenced by his father's drinking, making him into a somewhat of a party animal. He has a best friend. Some, I guess one would say, is his sidekick, but not really. But he's there, and he's there for the whole ride. This is actually a film that came from the A24 production company. And it's funny because I didn't realize it until I saw it again. And I was like, holy crap, like, these guys made this movie? Like, fucking A, man. Like, you go, guys. And they made a pretty good film. It's sweet. There's a lot of talk of what do you want to be, who you want to be, who you don't want to be or end up. They wrote a good film. I like the shots in this film. I like that it shows a little bit of, I guess, what it'd be a Midwest town. I'm not sure. The film does a good job. This film does a good job dissecting these characters, and not even through the characters themselves, but the environment that they're in. And when I mean the environment, I mean like the people that they're surrounded with, the location that they're surrounded with, and the lack of. Because, at least for Amy, she wants to go to a specific school. I think it's in Philly. So she's got to go to Philly. Like I said, pretty solid film. I would recommend everybody to see this film. It's not that long of a film. It's about an hour and 40 minutes. I mean, that's a little bit long for any kind of teenage quasi romance film, but there is depth to it. You get to see, especially for Sutter, Miles Teller's character. The character has a breakthrough towards the third act of the film. He realizes kind of who he is and why. And it all starts with a conversation, especially with his mom, because his mom, they're not close, and part of it is because of him, part of it is because of her. But one day they come together. I won't say how and why. Come together and they sort stuff out. And I mean, I don't know if this is what you expect to see in real life or whatever, but the way they wrote it, they did a pretty good job as to completing the cycle of what these characters have to go through to progress, in the film, especially when it's the third act. Third act is tying all loose ends, and they did a pretty good job tying those ends. And this film has a message too. I kind of won't say what the message is, but it's kind of self-explanatory when you watch the film. It's not completely spoon-fed. It gives you laughs. It gives you some very light thrills. Either way, I would give this film, honestly, like a 4 out of 4. I see nothing wrong with this film at all. The pacing is great. The cinematography is really good. They really show these characters in a natural way. One of my favorite shots actually is when Sutter's passed out on Amy's, or I don't even know if it's Amy's front lawn, but he's passed out on this big ass front lawn, and she's there, and she wakes him up, and the shot is like so wide. You can see the giant front lawn, you can see the house, and you can see the like just the scenery behind it, which is very I guess you can say it's out of town. It's not in the city, that's for sure. Definitely not in the city. And there's a lot more shots like that. I mean, there's shots of Sutter driving, and when he's driving drunk, they show the car crossing lanes, and it's kind of scary, especially with the music that's added to it to add that suspense, because we don't know if this guy's gonna fucking crash or not. We might think he will. Who knows, right? Either way, my name is Ray Salazar. Follow me in Morning Shot Films on IG and YouTube. Rate and review this podcast and this episode. Tell me what's up, man. Tell me what's up. I like hearing all kinds of opinions, all kinds of comments. They are always welcome. If you want to send requests for films that you want me to review, you can send it at officialmorningreel@gmail.com. I read them. There's people that send me DMs via Instagram, and I always tell them to send it to the email. But it doesn't hurt to, send me a DM. Appreciate that. I will be getting into those films that are requested slowly but surely. Thank you.